Going live. We're live. It looks so different, doesn't it?
I'm tiny again.
Why is it different?
I don't know.
Why is it different?
Also, maybe I was like slightly hoping there was a reason to reread that whole fucking the last 4 chapters because I totally didn't reread them. Did you?
No.
Cool.
No, I did not. We could.
I don't feel like we should subject the humans to that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really missed much.
Really?
Well, first of all, it's there.
Yeah, but is it here?
Is it here? Okay, let's see. We had a long essay about the nature of history.
3 chapters. Oh yeah, yeah. Plus, we finished the previous book.
We finished the previous book, that's true. But even that was screwy because we shouldn't. There's something very like unsyncopated about going from that right into this new book.
Now, when you say unsyncopated, do you mean
this is like unsync?
Unsync. It's synchronized.
Yeah.
Unsync. SYNCOPE.
Yeah.
That group.
That's my favorite group.
Yeah.
If you would like spell that, by the way, like really quick off the tip of your tongue, I would have been very impressed.
Did I not? Did I misspell it?
Unsyncopated? Did you do it?
Did I misspell it?
You did, didn't you? Syncopate. SYNCKO.
COP. Is that not how you spell it? I think
PATED.
Yeah, I think that's what I
said.
You
did it?
I think so.
Okay, then I'm very impressed.
I mean,
that's not that. This is like
be tentatively impressed because I don't know if I did or didn't do it.
I feel like you talked about that at some point. That like
my parents spell really fast.
Yeah.
And it's confusing. I have to be like, and with Isha, I'm like, wait, what did you say?
Right. I'm like, that was Pig Latin.
I don't even know what Pig Latin is.
It's stupid. It's like you add like igse. So you take off the first letter and then add it.
The first letter?
Yeah. So it's like Pig Latin in Pig Latin would be igse adenle.
Igpe.
Igpe. Thank you. Igpe.
Unless you were trying to say Sig Latin.
Yeah, Sig Latin. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's
stupid.
What, Pig Latin?
Yeah. Wait. I have nothing against anybody who may or may not like Pig Latin.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who may or may not speak Pig Latin. I have nothing
against Pig Latin speakers.
Pig Latin native.
Do you think anyone was
Pig Latin as a first language? Pigs.
That's true. Latin people.
Yeah.
All kinds.
Yes. None of them. All of them.
Yeah.
I cut my bangs.
You did.
They dried a weird way. Like they're all in this direction, so I can't tell. We'll see in the next couple of days.
Quite long.
Yeah, because I'm very scared.
Yeah.
Also because I have a weird thing of not wanting the hair to go down the drain. I'm like, where do I?
Oh yeah.
I have to do it outside if I really don't want the hair to get in the house. I have to cut my hair outside, which makes no sense. Because there's like wind and like there's all kinds of reasons that doesn't make sense.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw a question, like
an idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's called a towel. You put a towel.
But then there's hair in the towel.
And then you take the towel
and
you either do that outside or over the garbage.
Yeah, just hair sticks to things. I'm willing to try this outside thing.
Okay.
The like shake it out outside. No.
Like, the shake it out outside.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it will work. Because they'll be short. No ponytail. They'll pay you.
I know, but I've done it before. I've also done it with a towel before. I just don't remember. I must have just.
Alternatively, you could use like a slippery,
Yeah, that's the.
like a garbage bag, honestly.
I'll be right back.
You just do it on the channel.
Yeah, why not?
While you're reading.
This is one of those things that, like, I thought about texting the lady who cuts my hair, and then I was like, I bet she'd be a little bit reluctant. Not her specifically, but people in like these lines of work are probably a little bit reluctant to render themselves unnecessary. Not that my
You mean
do
you
it
should be up
home-
for it?
No, I'm saying like if I cut my bangs amazingly at home, like why would I go get my hair cut? I don't know.
She already offers free bang trims.
Not the point.
Okay.
Just a larger thing of like what jobs are gonna get rendered superfluous if enough people figure their shit out at home. This is all basically about my like eyebrows. And
I don't
stuff.
think
This is-
hairdressers need to worry. Eyebrows.
I mean, they should because I'm never going back. Like all the waxing places lost
Oh.
me.
Yeah.
So if I can figure out how to like amazing cut my something, who's to say?
I always wanted to learn how to cut men's hair.
I did
don't
a
trust
movie
myself
once.
to cut my own hair.
You don't?
No.
Oh, I would cut your hair. Like it's not that. I don't think it'll be that hard.
What were you gonna say?
That I did a movie about cutting hair, so I actually like got
Okay.
some minimal instruction on how to like section hair out and generally how to cut it. So I think men's hair would probably be harder for me than something that's like all long. Not that there aren't shorter pieces,
Yeah.
but this I think in the grand scheme of things is probably in the simpler of categories. I don't know.
I just always think with men's hair, it's like it'll grow back. It grows back so quickly.
Everyone's grows back.
Yeah, I know, but like if you have, what I mean by that is theirs looks like it grows quicker because it's so close to their head, so it's so noticeable when it grows in.
So they're in a worse. Like my dad's
Yes.
already made several comments about how long his hair is.
Oh yeah.
He's like, pretty soon I'm gonna have a man bun.
You look good.
It's like I'm excited for that.
I'm really excited for that. Your mom seems like someone who could totally cut hair.
She does actually. She
Yeah.
like weirdly cuts her. Not weirdly. She's cut her mother's hair for like a really long time, and it's not like she's not like skilled, but it's also not like horrendous. So
Yeah.
like she seems to confident in cutting my nephew's hair because his hair grows crazy.
She cuts his
fast.
hair.
No, she's like confident
Oh,
about
yeah.
doing it. What's
So it's
getting
gonna be
on.
like she does a good job.
She's not worried about it.
He could grow his hair long.
Yeah, I always think it looks great when it's long, but then when he cuts it and I look back at pictures of it longer, I'm like, whoa, that was a mess. Right now it's in like a in-betweeny. Not great. Everything he does is perfect.
Seriously.
Okay.
If I could go back, I think I would like never have cut my hair.
Never have
If I
cut
could
your
like
hair.
instruct my parents, be like, hey, starting like age 2, never cut do not touch my hair.
Why?
Because then you have long hair.
But hair grows when you cut it, no?
No.
Really, they one of the reasons they like shave little Hindu babies' heads is because their hair grows back better.
See, I'm like confused by this. When I think about it scientifically, it makes 0 sense. Like, why would cutting off the ends make this part? Unless it's all connected?
I mean, yeah, because they say hair is dead, right?
Yeah.
But
So
it's
then-
not because it's alive here. Otherwise, it wouldn't grow. Dead things don't grow.
Things don't grow. Well, so this is not growing. This is growing.
Yeah, but this is one thing.
Is it one thing?
Must
Maybe that's
be.
why.
Because like plants, when you cut them, a lot of times it makes them grow.
Hmm.
And they're obviously not growing literally out of the place that you cut.
You actually need to know this stuff. Because I thought the reason like you can cut it, it's like your nails. Like it doesn't hurt to cut it because it's dead.
Yeah, but I don't think that could be said that the whole thing is dead. Like if it wasn't alive, at the root, then would what?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got it working again.
What?
Oh, it's just we got YouTube working again. Yes, we did.
Is it? Cool.
Cool.
She figured it out.
Sort of.
She figured it out.
Sort of.
She sort of figured it out.
I'm still confused what happened.
I don't even begin
To the point where I think that at this point, robots are controlling YouTube.
That's probably true.
And so
No, I mean they must have in order to think that what's it called was so
racy. Yeah, so that's what I think happened. I think a robot messed with our account.
The robots are jealous.
I'm sorry, what were you saying about dead hair?
I don't know.
I don't know. Now I'm like, you know what? Test subject. How would you test this? Has anyone ever tested this? Because I want them to.
What?
It's so easy to be able to test this and finally verify for once and for all if cutting your hair makes it grow faster. This is all you do. Half your head, you cut.
But
the other half, you do not.
Yeah. However, everybody has kind of like a max out length. So I don't know, honestly. Even if you hadn't cut your hair since you were 2, that doesn't mean that it would be by your knees. Do you want hair that long?
Sometimes I do.
Really? Sometimes. Oh, God.
I mean, some
I'm
people.
I'm so glad I don't have super long hair.
Really?
Oh.
Like it depends on the style. If it's like blunt and it's just, it looks like a horse. Like it's kind of gross. But if it's nicely cut and it like falls down the back in that like curtain effect, it looks so
in
nice.
The effect that like you have extensions,
but not extensions.
But like, who have you ever seen whose hair is just wonderful and like a curtain or whatever that doesn't have what's it called?
Yeah, Lily Singh.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I mean, I have nothing against people who are really.
Now we really have to say all that.
I'm going to say it every time.
Okay.
Want to see something hilarious?
Yeah, I do. What are you doing?
Exercises! Band exercises!
This is going to finally be the thing that's going to make your mama's knee strong.
I know, she already can like do this with her arm,
wow.
Which she apparently has not been able to do for years. Yeah. I can't remember what I was fucking around on my phone for, but we haven't got time for this.
We haven't got time. We gotta get to the reading. It's late.
We must. So
and people want their War and Peace.
They need it. Somebody asked me today.
I don't even know if this makes a difference.
Of course
it makes a difference. We're really up to speed with everything today.
Somebody asked me, well, maybe they didn't ask me, but I was trying to think of when to tell somebody when the house was built. And I suddenly was like, could think of 0 dates other than 1812. I was like, I want to say 1812, but that's not true.
Really good year, 1812.
What a year.
This house. No. Must have been. That's a good question. When do you think it was built?
It's not think. I know when it was built, but I've lost contact with it because all I can think of is 1812. But I think that might be because it was built in 1912.
Ooh, that's pretty old for a house here.
Yeah.
Vintage.
Mm-hmm. So, shit happened.
Yes. So Pierre loves Natasha.
Mhm.
Who knew? I mean, I knew, but I thought at some point Tolstoy would tell us, and it wouldn't just be some random person guessing
doesn't have to
because
tell
they're
you.
like,
He doesn't have to tell you.
because I'm like red and blue. That's pretty much what I was going off of, and the posters for the miniseries.
No, there was other stuff.
Was there?
It was very minimal, but it
subtle.
was there.
They're hardly ever in the same room together.
What are you talking about? They first met in 1812. I mean, what I mean by that is so long ago.
Right.
She was
When
like,
she was 12.
yeah, he was 18, she was 12.
He's like, oh.
No, he wasn't into her then. Was he?
Do guys do this?
Do what?
Are guys into 12-year-olds?
Is that a real question?
Because apparently they used to.
Yeah.
So have we just have we put an end to that?
Why do you want to look really young, Janessa?
Oh, you're going duh.
Yeah, of course it's a fucking weird thing.
Mm.
It continues to be a weird thing.
Mm.
Yeah. That's the right response. Yes. This is the right response. Oh gods, dear gods. Oh, someone's chatty tonight. What it says.
What it says. Ooh, racy. Please don't shave half your head. We haven't reached the state of Actually, I did watch a video of some girl. I don't know the videos that I watch. Some girl was like, shave your head. Just do it.
Why not?
Because the longer you wait to shave your head,
The less shaved it's gonna be.
yeah, and do it now so that the longer you wait, the more you're gonna have to wait for it to grow back anyway. So do it now.
Well, you're gonna have to wait the exact same amount. It's just gonna be staggered. Yeah.
Do it now so that your
Why don't we do it
grandchildren.
right now?
Yeah.
Get it.
Get a razor. I don't have a razor. I get a Billy. I don't know if that would work.
Oh no, I don't cut
wanna
it
do
like down to here.
Anyway, this girl was like, do it now so that one day you can tell your grandkids you shaved your head.
Who is this person and why is she not here?
I think it was literally a TikTok story.
We need to do it.
No. I don't think I would look good with a shaved head.
I really want like a one side gone.
That'd be good.
I can't even manage bangs though. Like, in what universe could I manage a high functioning, not high functioning, but like for me, I don't have straight hair. So I would have to like do stuff. Otherwise people would be like,
no, I don't think so.
you can't have like wavy hair,
Of course you can.
wavy curly hair and a side shaved.
Of course.
Let's see any good examples.
Okay, wait, what do we look at?
Exactly that.
Wavy hair with half-shaved head. I love that you can look up anything.
You know, you can literally type in a thought and someone's already done it.
Oh, boom. Like, this is even, curly. It depends on how. I mean, that one's...
But that's a commitment. Like, you have to literally go. Okay, yeah. I don't look like that when I wake up in the morning.
Neither does she. She's wearing, a wedding dress.
Listen, she woke up.
You could do this.
No. Because it's not that curly. I'd have to, really curlify it. Actually, if I cut it that short, it probably would be like...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
I mean, but like that. Of course it looks good.
Does it look good from the front?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Well, all these people they're all trying to show off the side.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, hey, I get it. It's a commitment. Look, she even kind of looks like you.
What? In Sephora, maybe.
Yeah, it's Sephora. It's Sephora World. I mean, she's so overexposed. You can't even see it.
She looks like me if I had a different life.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. She also
wonder.
realized when we were gazing into the Sephora makeup mirror, which is this magical fucking tool,
Mhm.
that I could have been a different person.
Oh, yeah.
I
I think it's because like she put on all these like very pastel. It's very Kim Kardashian.
could have been Kim Kardashian.
She could have. I was like, oh, I can suddenly see you in like a little sweatsuit, a little dog under your arm.
I mean, I'm always wearing sweatpants, but
no, but like
sweatsuit.
yeah.
Like a sweat top.
Not yoga clothes. Like that doesn't work.
Not
No.
yoga clothes.
No, like velour.
Velour.
Mm-hmm. And long eyelash extensions.
So shit happened in Russia.
Yes.
Boris was there
Yes.
for one page of it.
Yes.
And then he disappeared. And everybody else has been anonymous characters / Tolstoy. And yeah, that's it.
Pretty much, yeah, there's war again.
I know,
and
but who's to say it?
Who's to say what caused the war? We are not to say. It's that everything caused the war and nothing.
And the war caused everything.
Yes, that's true. Napoleon didn't.
Napoleon didn't. Napoleon did. Alexander didn't. Alexander did.
So who are we to try to understand the events that led up to the war? No. We shouldn't. We should just read about other people talking about it.
About how we can't know.
Yeah, that's great.
So that has brought us to chapter 4. That synopsis.
Yeah. Napoleon crossed the Niemen. And
crossed it.
He crossed
it.
A bunch of people died. He didn't care. He didn't even look up from tying his shoe or whatever he was doing. No, he was sitting on a log thinking.
Mad, what's it called, died.
Oh,
Mad.
Cossacks.
No.
No. What is it?
Uhlans.
Oh, there we go.
And no one cared.
No one cared. They just wanted to please him. But anyway, because he crossed that.
The Niemen.
Yeah. Alexander's like, excuse me. You can't just come into my territory.
And he was like, I mean, you can. But, like, you're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it, but we're going to have to declare war.
I'm okay with it.
And I feel peaceful towards you. But there is an army on its way.
Yeah, and then Boris heard about that. Be there in the action.
He's a has been there.
I was trying to make up some pun with his last name. I couldn't do it.
I was like feverishly coming up with weird made up. Just remember this. Falling asleep last night. I was like, I can't sleep because I have to register all these domains. And a lot of them were like, okay, good night. I mean, chapter 4.
Wait, I just want to say really quickly.
Hmm.
I had a dream. I had 2 dreams last night. One was about Hannibal Lecter, who was full on chasing me.
What?
Yeah. It was like this cross-continental chase too.
As it would be.
As it would be. And then this is what's weird about me when I have like terrifying dreams, like Lecter is after me. I kind of like half woke up and I was like, that's not a good dream. Let's not dream about that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started another dream.
Cool.
Where I had a bear.
I mean, you had a bit. Oh my God, remember your cat dream?
Yeah. Where the cat who was a cat didn't get cast as it. And
you were like, did you go in for this role or? Just
yeah,
right for it.
I'm not right for the part.
You had a bear?
Yeah, I had this bear. I don't think he was mine, but like someone like I ended up with this bear, and it was like, oh, what am I gonna do?
Mhm.
And then it was the quarantine, I guess, was still on, and I
Mhm.
had to go to the grocery store.
Avec bear.
Avec bear. So I had to take him into the store with me, I guess, because
Did you put a mask on him?
No, no,
What about gloves?
no. There was no gloves. It was just that like everyone was trying to get groceries, you know. And I was like, oh, I can't leave him outside. Someone will take him.
For sure.
So I brought him into the store, and then this is where it gets like weird, or weird in that it's not weird anymore. There was like this guy who was kind of panicked, and it was this very fancy health food store. It was Erewhon, but like rustic. Yeah, and he in his haste had forgotten his membership card
Mhm.
that was like a gift card with all this money on it. And then I decided I don't know, he'd been rude to me or my bear or something. And I was like, jerk. So then I was like, fine, I'm just gonna use this to pay for my groceries.
It was his card?
It was the guy who left his card.
Oh, he left his card.
He dropped it
Oh.
in his haste. In his
He's-
rude
He's
haste.
in too much rush.
And then the amount of the groceries was very high. I was like, oh, I guess I don't need the shampoo. But then the seller was like, actually, let me tell you about my experience with this shampoo.
So a sneaky product review or two made it in there, yeah. Yeah. Just to normalize a bit. Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, well, if you say so, I guess it's worth spending $40 on this shampoo.
And they were like, this shampoo's the best.
yeah.
So you got it.
So we got the shampoo, and then it turned out that like the card only had about $70 on it. So it didn't like full on pay for my groceries. But I got the shampoo.
Oh, okay.
And then me and the bear walked home.
Are
with
you
our
fucking
groceries.
serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's really good. That's really good. What a fucking hilarious combination of ultra mundane and like completely not at all.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I found a card and I'm gonna keep it because you're not very nice.
I
And
felt
like,
guilty about
let me tell you about this shampoo.
it.
I have a product review that I feel like I need to share with you, and I think it'll influence whether or not you buy it. But then there's
It
something.
really did. It was this like natural minty eucalyptus thing. I was like, oh.
Not a lot of natural shampoos doing that.
That's just it. I was very skeptical, but then
Of course you will.
based on his review, I was like, okay, all right.
Did he have a lot of hair?
Like he had good hair, yeah.
Really?
And he was like, I know. I've been burned before by the natural shampoo game as well.
Ah,
But this,
yeah.
it's like I look forward to my showers now.
That's really good.
Yeah. I also think he saw me pick up the card and had no problem with that, which I thought was like,
What? Then he must not have been that much of a dick. If he was like, free groceries, have it.
yeah, go
Find
for
his
it.
keepers. Wow.
Yeah. You can't remember your dreams?
Yeah.
Yet? Like they're gonna come.
You mean from last night?
Yeah.
I've been remembering a lot of them, and it's not even that much considering. Like, I don't remember that much, so even the little snippets that I am remembering feel like a lot to me. But right now, no, I got nothing. I just remember that as I was falling asleep, I was like, I must remember to register that domain. Because it's a really good idea.
Oh my god, don't share it.
I don't know if it was a good idea.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. I'm like,
All right. So we're at book 9.
what?
Yeah.
Oh, book 9. Yeah. I thought you just meant chapter 9.
No. You were that out of it that you missed. Book 9, Chapter 4. At 2 in the morning at the 14th of June, the emperor, having sent for Balashev and read him his letter to Napoleon, ordered him to take it and hand it personally to the French emperor. When dispatching Balashev, the emperor repeated to him the words that he would not make peace so long as a single armed enemy remained on Russian soil, and told him to transmit these words to Napoleon. Alexander did not insert them in his letter to Napoleon because, with his characteristic tact, he felt it would be injudicious to use them at a moment when a last attempt at reconciliation was being made. But he definitely instructed Balashev to repeat them personally to Napoleon.
Having set off in the small hours of the 14th, accompanied by a bugler and 2 Cossacks, Balashev reached the French outposts at the village of Rikonti, on the Russian side of the Niemen, by dawn. There, he was stopped by French cavalry sentinels.
A French non-commissioned officer of hussars in crimson uniform and a shaggy cap shouted to the approaching Balashev to halt. Balashev did not do so at once, but continued to advance along the road at a walking pace.
The non-commissioned officer frowned, and muttering words of abuse, advanced his horse's chest against Balashev, put his hand to his saber, and shouted rudely at the Russian general, asking, was he deaf that he did not do as he was told? Balashev mentioned who he was. The non-commissioned officer began talking with his comrades about regimental matters without looking at the Russian general.
After living at the seat of the highest authority and power, after conversing with the emperor less than 3 hours before, and in general being accustomed to the respect due to his rank in the service, Balashev found it very strange here on Russian soil to encounter this hostile and still more, this disrespectful application of brute force to himself.
The sun was only just appearing from behind the clouds. The air was fresh and dewy. A herd of cattle was being driven along the road from the village, and over the fields the larks rose, trilling one after another like bubbles rising in water.
Balashev looked around him, awaiting the arrival of an officer from the village. The Russian Cossacks and the bugler and the French hussars looked silently at one another from time to time.
A French colonel of hussars, who had evidently just left his bed, came riding from the village on a handsome, sleek grey horse, accompanied by 2 hussars. The officer, the soldiers, and the horses all looked smart and well kept.
It was that first period of a campaign when troops are still in full trim, almost like that of peacetime maneuvers, but with a shade of martial swagger in their clothes and a touch of the gaiety and spirit of enterprise which always accompany the opening of a campaign.
The French colonel with difficulty repressed a yawn, but was polite and evidently understood Balashev's importance. He led him past his soldiers and behind the outposts, and told him that his wish to be presented to the emperor would most likely be satisfied immediately, as the emperor's quarters were, he believed, not far off.
They rode through the village of Rikonti, past tethered French hussar horses, past sentinels and men who saluted their colonel and stared with curiosity at a Russian uniform, and came out at the other end of the village. The colonel said that the commander of the division was 1.25 miles away and would receive Balashev and conduct him to his destination.
The sun had by now risen and shone gaily on the bright verdure.
They had hardly ridden up a hill, past a tavern, before they saw a group of horsemen coming toward them. In front of the group, on a black horse with trappings that glittered in the sun, rode a tall man with plumes in his hat and black hair curling down to his shoulders. He wore a red mantle and stretched his long legs forward in French fashion. I don't know what that means. This man...
I'll show you.
Oh, yes? Ah. So French. This man rode toward Balashev at a gallop, his plumes flowing and his gems and gold lace glittering in the bright June sunshine.
What? I think... Is Balashev?
Yeah.
Balashev was only 2 horses' length from the equestrian with the bracelets, plumes, necklaces, and gold embroidery who was galloping towards him with a theatrically solemn countenance when Yulna, the French colonel, whispered respectfully, "The King of Naples." It was, in fact, Murat, now called King of Naples. Though it was quite incomprehensible why he should be King of Naples, he was called so, and was himself convinced that he was so, and therefore assumed a more solemn and important air than formerly. He was so sure that he really was the King of Naples that when, on the eve of his departure from that city, while walking through the streets with his wife, some Italians called out to him, "Viva il Re," No.
Long live the king.
Oh. He turned, you have more translations than I do by a lot, a lot.
Yeah. You would think yours would be better.
Why?
Kindle, I don't know. Seems more official.
Wow. He turned to his wife with a pensive, oi, 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 oi. Oh my god. It's like it. What? I mean, whoa, whoa.
The machines be taking over.
It's crazy. I don't know what just happened. Like, I don't know where I ended up. I don't know if you want to keep reading.
Okay. Okay. Viva il rey, he turned to his wife with a pensive smile and said, Poor fellows, they don't know that I am leaving them tomorrow. But though he firmly believed himself to be king of Naples and pitied the grief felt by the subjects he was abandoning, latterly, after he had been ordered to return to military service, and especially since his last interview with Napoleon in Danzig, when his august brother-in-law had told him, I made you king that you should reign in my way, but not in yours. He had cheerfully taken up his familiar business, and like a well-fed but not over-fat horse that feels himself in harness and grows skittish between the shafts, he dressed up in clothes as variegated.
Variegated.
Variegated? Okay. How would you say?
Variegated. I
Variegated.
can't see it, but yeah, variegated.
Never heard that before. And expensive as possible, and gaily and contentedly galloped along the roads of Poland without himself knowing why or whither.
On seeing the Russian general, he threw back his head with its long hair curling to his shoulders in a majestically royal manner and looked inquiringly at the French colonel. The colonel respectfully informed His Majesty of Balashev's mission, whose name he could not pronounce.
De Balashev, said the king, overcoming by his assurance the difficulty that had presented itself to the colonel. Charmed to make your acquaintance, General, he added with a gesture of kingly condescension.
As soon as the king began to speak loud and fast, his royal dignity instantly forsook him, and without noticing it, he passed into his natural tone of good-natured familiarity. He laid his hand on the withers of Balashev's horse and said,
Well, General, it all looks like war, as if regretting a circumstance of which he was unable to judge.
Your Majesty, replied Balashev, my master the Emperor does not desire war, and as your Majesty sees, said Balashev, using the words your Majesty at every opportunity, with the affectation unavoidable in frequently addressing one to whom the title was still a novelty.
Murat's face beamed with stupid satisfaction as he listened to Monsieur de Balmashev. But royauté oblige, I guess. Royalty has its obligations. And why but? Anyway. And he felt it incumbent on him as a king and an ally to confer on state affairs with Alexander's envoy. He dismounted, took Balashev's arm, and moving a few steps away from his suite, which waited respectfully, began to pace up and down with him, trying to speak significantly. He referred to the fact that the Emperor Napoleon had resented the demand that he should withdraw his troops from Prussia, especially when that demand became generally known and the dignity of France was thereby offended.
Balashev replied that there was nothing offensive in the demand because, but Murat interrupted him.
Then you don't consider the Emperor Alexander the aggressor? He asked unexpectedly, with a kindly and foolish smile.
Balashev told him why he considered Napoleon to be the originator of the war.
Oh, my dear general, Murat again interrupted him. With all my heart, I wish the emperors may arrange the affairs between them, and that the war begun by no wish of mine may finish as quickly as possible, said he, in the tone of a servant who wants to remain good friends with another despite a quarrel between their masters.
And he went on to inquiries about the Grand Duke and the state of his health, and to reminiscences of the gay and amusing times he had spent with him in Naples. Then suddenly, as if remembering his royal dignity, Murat solemnly drew himself up, assumed the pose in which he had stood at his coronation, and waving his right arm, said,
I won't detain you longer, General. I wish success to your mission. And with his embroidered red mantle, his flowing feathers, and his glittering ornaments, he rejoined his suite, who were respectfully awaiting him.
Balashev rode on, supposing from Murat's words that he would very soon be brought before Napoleon himself. But instead of that, at the next village, the sentinels of Davut's infantry corps detained him, as the pickets of the vanguard had done, and an adjutant of the corps commander, who was fetched, conducted him into the village to Marshal Davut. How would you say that?
I don't know if it's Davut. That's French. I think it might be Davut. wanted to say, like, well, we won't have to deal with him very much, but remember, like, Bagration? And then it was all him forever.
Bag ration.
Chapter 5. Oh, great. Yeah, he's there. Okay. What do you think? Davout?
Sure. I'm going to quickly look him up.
Okay. Devout would be strange.
Yeah, I mean, they both have things that are Davout, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Davout.
Mhm.
Okay. Davout was to Napoleon what Arakchev was to Alexander. Though not a coward like Arakchev, he was as precise, as cruel, and as unable to express his devotion to his monarch except by cruelty.
In the organism of states, such men are necessary, as wolves are necessary in the organism of nature, and they always exist, always appear, and hold their own, however incongruous their presence and their proximity to the head of the government may be. This inevitability alone can explain how the cruel Arakchev, who tore out a grenadier's mustache with his own hands, yes, people do that every day.
Oh, yeah. Is that possible?
Yeah, if waxing is possible, that's possible.
I guess so. You gotta get a really firm grip.
Oh, yeah. Whose weak nerves rendered him unable to face danger, and who was neither an educated man nor a courtier, was able to maintain his powerful position with Alexander, whose own character was chivalrous, noble, and gentle.
Balashev found Davout seated on a barrel in the shed of a peasant's hut, writing. He was auditing accounts. Better quarters could have been found him, but Marshal Davout was one of those men who purposely put themselves in most depressing conditions to have a justification for being gloomy. For the same reason, they are always hard at work and in a hurry. How can I think of the bright side of life when, as you see, I am sitting on a barrel and working in a dirty shed? The expression on his face seemed to say. The chief pleasure and necessity of such men, when they encounter anyone who shows animation, is to flaunt their own dreary, persistent activity. Davout allowed himself that pleasure when Balashev was brought in. He became still more absorbed in his task when the Russian general entered, and after glancing over his spectacles at Balashev's face, which was animated by the beauty of the morning and by his talk with Marat, he did not rise or even stir, but scowled still more and sneered malevolently.
When he noticed in Balashev's face the disagreeable impression this reception produced, Davout raised his head and coldly asked what he wanted.
Thinking he could have been received in such a manner only because Davout did not know that he was adjutant general to the Emperor Alexander and even his envoy to Napoleon, Balashev hastened to inform him of his rank and mission. Contrary to his expectation, Davout, after hearing him, became still surlier and ruder.
"Where is your dispatch?" he inquired. "Give it to me. I will send it to the emperor."
Balashev replied that he had been ordered to hand it personally to the emperor.
"Your emperor's orders are obeyed in your army, but here," said Davout, "you must do as you're told."
And as if to make the Russian general still more conscious of his dependence on brute force, Davout sent an adjutant to call the officer on duty.
Balashev took out the packet containing the emperor's letter and laid it on the table made of a door with its hinges still hanging on it, laid across two barrels. Davout took the packet and read the inscription.
"You are perfectly at liberty to treat me with respect or not," protested Balashev, "but permit me to observe that I have the honor to be adjutant general to His Majesty."
Davout glanced at him silently and plainly derived pleasure from the signs of agitation and confusion which appeared on Balashev's face.
"You will be treated as is fitting," said he, and putting the packet in his pocket, left the shed.
A minute later, the marshal's adjutant, de Castries, came in and conducted Balashev to the quarters assigned him.
That day he dined with the marshal at the same board on the barrels.
Next day, Davout rode out early and, after asking Balashev to come to him, peremptorily requested him to remain there, to move on with the baggage train should orders come for it to move, and to talk to no one, except Monsieur de Castries.
After 4 days of solitude, ennui, and consciousness of his impotence and insignificance, particularly acute by contrast with the sphere of power in which he had so lately moved, and after several marches with the marshal's baggage and the French army, which occupied the whole district, Balashev was brought to Vilna, now occupied by the French, through the very gate by which he had left it 4 days previously.
Next day, the imperial gentleman in waiting, the Comte du Turenne, came to Balashev and informed him of the Emperor Napoleon's wish to honor him with an audience.
4 days before, sentinels of the Preobrazhensk regiment had stood in front of the house to which Balashev was conducted, and now 2 French grenadiers stood there in blue uniforms, unfastened in front and with shaggy caps on their heads, and an escort of hussars and uhlans and a brilliant suite of aides-de-camp, pages, and generals who were waiting for Napoleon to come out, were standing at the porch round his saddle horse and in his Mameluke Rustan. Napoleon received Balashev in the very house in Vilna from which Alexander had dispatched him on his mission. Really? That's so bizarre.
That's very weird. Chapter 6.
Mm-hmm.
If you can keep up.
Okay. Then?
Just you. Just the you.
Yo.
Just all yous. Let me know when you need to.
Yeah, let's do one more chapter.
Just one more.
It's going to be a shorty.
Okay. Though Balashev was used to imperial pomp, is it going to be short? Do you check?
14 pages.
He was amazed at the luxury and magnificence of Napoleon's court.
The Comte de Turenne showed him into a big reception room where many generals, gentlemen in waiting, and Polish magnates, several of whom Balashev had seen at the court of the Emperor of Russia, were waiting. Duroc said that Napoleon would receive the Russian general before going for his ride.
After some minutes, the gentleman in waiting who was on duty came into the great reception room and, bowing politely, asked Balashev to follow him.
Balashev went into a small reception room, one door of which led into a study, the very one from which the Russian emperor had dispatched him on his mission. He stood a minute or two, waiting. He heard hurried footsteps beyond the door. Both halves of it were opened rapidly. All was silent, and then from the study the sound was heard of other steps, firm and resolute. They were those of Napoleon. He had just finished dressing for his ride and wore a blue uniform, opening in front over a white waistcoat so long that it covered his rotund stomach. White leather breeches tightly fitting the fat thighs of his short legs, and Hessian boots. His short hair had evidently just been brushed, but one lock hung down in the middle of his broad forehead.
It's Napoleon?
Yeah.
I didn't know Napoleon was rotund.
I don't think he's not big, but maybe he's more round shaped. It is. How tall was he supposed to have been? Like 5'2"? His plump white neck stood out sharply above the black collar of his uniform, and he smelled of eau de cologne. His full face, rather young-looking, with its prominent chin, wore a gracious and majestic expression of imperial welcome.
He entered briskly, with a jerk at every step, and his head slightly thrown back. His whole short, corpulent figure, with broad, thick shoulders and chest and stomach involuntarily protruding, had that imposing and stately appearance one sees in men of 40 who live in comfort. It was evident, too, that he was in the best of spirits that day.
He nodded in answer to Balashev's low and respectful bow, and coming up to him at once, began speaking like a man who values every moment of his time and does not condescend to prepare what he has to say, but is sure he will always say the right thing and say it well.
"Good day, General," said he. "I have received the letter you brought from the Emperor Alexander, and am very glad to see you." He glanced with his large eyes into Balashev's face and immediately looked past him.
It was plain that Balashev's personality did not interest him at all. Evidently, only what took place within his own mind interested him. Nothing outside himself had any significance for him, because everything in the world, it seemed to him, depended entirely on his will.
"I do not and did not desire war," he continued, "but it has been forced on me. Even now," he emphasized the word, "I am ready to receive any explanations you can give me."
And he began clearly and concisely to explain his reasons for dissatisfaction with the Russian government. Judging by the calmly moderate and amicable tone in which the French emperor spoke, Balashev was firmly persuaded that he wished for peace and intended to enter into negotiations.
When Napoleon, having finished speaking, looked inquiringly at the Russian envoy, Balashev began a speech he had prepared long before. "Sire, the emperor, my master," but the sight of the emperor's eyes bent on him confused him. "You are flurried. Compose yourself, Napoleon seemed to say, as with a scarcely perceptible smile he looked at Balashev's uniform and sword.
Balashev recovered himself and began to speak. He said that the Emperor Alexander did not consider Kurokin's demand for his passports a sufficient cause for war, that Kurokin had acted on his own initiative and without his sovereign's assent, that the Emperor Alexander did not desire war and had no relations with England.
Kurokin. I think they misspelled it the first time.
What was it?
It was like Kuragin or someone that we like
you're right.
fully felt like we knew.
And it was like,
Yeah.
You mean Anatoly?
Yeah, it was a weird. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Not yet, interposed Napoleon, and as if fearing to give vent to his feelings, he frowned and nodded slightly as a sign that Balashev might proceed.
After saying all he had been instructed to say, Balashev added that the Emperor Alexander wished for peace, but would not enter into negotiations except on condition that. Here, Balashev hesitated. He remembered the words the Emperor Alexander had not written in his letter, but had specially inserted in the rescript to Saltykov, and had told Balashev to repeat to Napoleon. Balashev remembered these words: "So long as a single armed foe remains on Russian soil." These are very important words, apparently.
You had one job, Balashev.
But some complex feeling restrained him. He could not utter them, though he wished to do so. He grew confused and said, on condition that the French army retires beyond the Niemen. Balashev. You gotta be strong.
Napoleon noticed Balashev's embarrassment when uttering these last words. His face twitched and the calf of his left leg began to quiver rhythmically.
That's like me.
That's like you?
Oh, yeah, that happens to me sometimes.
What?
Jelly legs.
I've never noticed. Without moving from where he stood, he began speaking in a louder tone and more hurriedly than before. During the speech that followed, Balashev, who more than once lowered his eyes, involuntarily noticed the quivering of Napoleon's left leg. What? Which increased the more Napoleon raised his voice.
I desire peace, no less than the Emperor Alexander, he began. Have I not for 18 months been doing everything to obtain it? I have waited 18 months for explanations, but in order to begin negotiations, what is demanded of me, he said, frowning and making an energetic gesture of inquiry with his small, white, plump hand.
The withdrawal of your army beyond the Niemen, sire, replied Balashev.
The Niemen, repeated Napoleon. So now you want me to retire beyond the Niemen? Only the Niemen? Repeated Napoleon, looking straight at Balashev.
The latter bowed his head respectfully.
Instead of the demand of 4 months earlier to withdraw from Pomerania, only a withdrawal beyond the Niemen was now demanded. Napoleon turned quickly and began to pace the room.
You say the demand now is that I am to withdraw beyond the Niemen before commencing negotiations, but in just the same way 2 months ago, the demand was that I should withdraw beyond the Vistula and the Oder, and yet you are willing to negotiate.
He went in silence from one corner of the room to the other and again stopped in front of Balashev. Balashev noticed that his left leg was quivering faster than before, and his face seemed petrified in its stern expression. This quivering of his left leg was a thing Napoleon was conscious of. The vibration of my left calf is a great sign with me, he remarked at a later date. Oh, sign of what? Virility.
Sign. Such demands as to retreat beyond the Vistula and Oder may be made to a prince of Baden, but not to me, Baden. Napoleon almost screamed, quite to his own surprise. If you gave me Petersburg and Moscow, I could not accept such conditions, really. You say I have begun this war? Who first joined his army? The Emperor Alexander, not I. And you offer me negotiations when I have expended millions, when you are in alliance with England, and when your position is a bad one. You offer me negotiations, but what is the aim of your alliance with England? What has she given you? He continued hurriedly, evidently no longer trying to show the advantages of peace and discuss its possibility, but only to prove his own rectitude and power and Alexander's errors and duplicity.
The commencement of his speech had obviously been made with the intention of demonstrating the advantages of his position and showing that he was nevertheless willing to negotiate. But he had begun talking, and the more he talked, the less could he control his words.
The whole purport of his remarks now was evidently to exalt himself and insult Alexander, just what he had least desired at the commencement of the interview.
I hear you have made peace with Turkey?
Balashev bowed his head affirmatively.
Peace has been concluded, he began.
But Napoleon did not let him speak. He evidently wanted to do all the talking himself and continued to talk with the sort of eloquence and unrestrained irritability to which spoiled people are so prone.
Yes, I know you have made peace with the Turks without obtaining Moldavia and Wallachia. I would have given your sovereign those provinces as I gave him Finland. Yes, he went on, I promised and would have given the Emperor Alexander Moldavia and Wallachia? Let's say that. And now he won't have those splendid provinces. Yet he might have united them to his empire, and in a single reign would have extended Russia from the Gulf of Bothnia to the mouths of the Danube. Catherine the Great, Danube? Yeah. Catherine the Great could not have done more, said Napoleon, growing more and more excited as he paced up and down the room, repeating to Balashev almost the very words he had used to Alexander himself at Tilsit. All that he would have owed to my friendship. Oh, what a splendid reign, he repeated several times, then paused, drew from his pocket a gold snuff box, lifted it to his nose, and greedily sniffed at it.
What a splendid reign the Emperor Alexander's might have been!
He looked compassionately at Balashev, and as soon as the latter tried to make some rejoinder, hastily interrupted him.
What could he wish or look for that he would not have obtained through my friendship? Demanded Napoleon, shrugging his shoulders in perplexity. But no, he has preferred to surround himself with my enemies. And with whom? With Steins, Armfelts, Bennigsens, and Winzergerolds. Stein, a traitor expelled from his own country. Armfelt, a rake and an intriguer. Winzingerold, a fugitive French subject. Bennigsen, rather more of a soldier than the others, but all the same an incompetent who was unable to do anything in 1807 and who should awaken terrible memories in the Emperor's Alexander's mind. Granted that were they competent, they might be made use of. My brain just broke.
Yeah.
Continued Napoleon, hardly able to keep pace in words with the rush of thoughts that incessantly sprang up, proving how right and strong he was. In his perception, the two were one and the same. But they are not even that. They are neither fit for war nor peace. Titular line. Close. Berkeley is said to be the most capable of them
Sorry,
all.
I just got that. Okay.
What?
Titular line. Anyway.
Berkeley is said to be the most capable of them all, but I cannot say so, judging by his first movements. And what are they doing? All these courtiers. Fuel proposes. Fuel? Who's Fuel?
That's some dude.
Fuel proposes. Armfelt disputes. Bennigsen considers, and Barclay called on to act, does not know what to decide on, and time passes, bringing no result. Bagration alone is a military man. He's stupid, but he has experience, a quick eye, and resolution. And what role is your young monarch playing in that monstrous crowd? They compromise him and throw on him the responsibility for all that happens. A sovereign should not be with the army unless he is a general, said Napoleon, evidently uttering these words as a direct challenge to the emperor. He knew how Alexander desired to be a military commander.
The campaign began only a week ago, and you haven't even been able to defend Vilna. You are cut in two and have been driven out of the Polish provinces. Your army is grumbling.
On the contrary, your majesty, said Balashev, hardly able to remember what had been said to him, and following these verbal fireworks with difficulty, the troops are burning with eagerness.
I know everything, Napoleon interrupted him. I know everything. I know the number of your battalions as exactly as I know my own. You have not 200,000 men, and I have 3 times that number. I give you my word of honor, said Napoleon, forgetting that his word of honor could carry no weight. I give you my word of honor that I have 530,000 men this side of the Vistula. The Turks will be of no use to you. They are worth nothing, and have shown it by making peace with you. As for the Swedes, it is their fate to be governed by mad kings. Their king was insane, and they changed him for another, Bernadotte, who promptly went mad, for no Swede would ally himself with Russia unless he were mad.
Napoleon grinned maliciously and again raised his snuff box to his nose. Is he getting fucked up?
I don't know. What's in the snuff box?
Snuff?
Balashev knew how to reply to each of Napoleon's remarks and would have done so. He continually made the gesture of a man wishing to say something, but Napoleon always interrupted him. To the alleged insanity of the Swedes, Balashev wished to reply that when Russia is on her side, Sweden is practically an island. But Napoleon gave an angry exclamation to drown his voice. Napoleon was in that state of irritability in which a man has to talk, and talk, merely to convince himself that he is in the right. Balashev began to feel uncomfortable. As envoy, he feared to demean his dignity and felt the necessity of replying. But as a man, he shrank before the transport of groundless wrath that had evidently seized Napoleon. He knew that none of the words now uttered by Napoleon had any significance, and that Napoleon himself would be ashamed of them when he came to his senses. Balashev stood with downcast eyes, looking at the movements of Napoleon's stout legs and trying to avoid meeting his eyes.
But what do I care about your allies, said Napoleon. I have allies, the Poles. There are 80,000 of them and they fight like lions. And there will be 200,000 of them. What? And there will be 200,000 of them when they multiply?
Because they mate really quickly.
Like lions.
And there will be, I'm not sure. And probably still more perturbed by the fact that they had uttered this obvious falsehood, and that Balashev still stood silently before him in the same attitude of submission to fate, Napoleon abruptly turned round, drew close to Balashev's face, and, gesticulating rapidly and energetically with his white hands, almost shouted,
Know that if you stir up Prussia against me, I will wipe it off the map of Europe, he declared, his face pale and distorted by anger, and he struck one of his small hands energetically with the other. Yes, I will throw you back beyond the Dvina and beyond the Dnieper. What are all these places? He's big Latining them.
Yeah.
And beyond the Dnieper, how would you say that? Dnieper. And will re-erect against you that barrier which it was criminal and blind of Europe to allow to be destroyed. Yes, that is what will happen to you. That is what you have gained by alienating me. And he walked silently several times up and down the room, his fat shoulders twitching.
Oh my goodness. He put his snuff box into his waistcoat pocket, took it out again, lifted it several times to his nose, and stopped in front of Balashev. He paused, looked ironically straight into Balashev's eyes, and said in a quiet voice,
And yet what a splendid reign your master might have had.
Balashev, feeling it incumbent on him to reply, said that from the Russian side, things did not appear in so gloomy a light. Napoleon was silent, still looking derisively at him and evidently not listening to him. Balashev said that in Russia the best results were expected from the war. Napoleon nodded condescendingly as if to say, I know it's your duty to say that, but you don't believe it yourself. I have convinced you.
When Balashev had ended, Napoleon again took out his snuff box, sniffed at it, and stamped his foot twice on the floor as a signal. The door opened. A gentleman in waiting, bending respectfully, handed the emperor his hat and gloves. Another brought him a pocket handkerchief. Napoleon, without giving them a glance, turned to Balashev.
Assure the Emperor Alexander from me, said he, taking his hat, that I am as... I don't have the... Yeah. That I am as devoted to him as before. I know him thoroughly and very highly esteem his lofty qualities. I will detain you no longer, General. You shall receive my letter to the Emperor.
And Napoleon went quickly to the door. Everyone in the reception room rushed forward and descended the staircase. He took his hat and his oaths. Isn't that his hat?
Yeah. It's like the pirate hat.
It's this one.
Yeah, the boat. That's what I think of. Napoleon. Very apoplectic. Like you would think that it would be like in the movies, and the person in power is like showing absolutely nothing.
I mean, he doesn't seem to have a problem making him small.
Yeah.
I don't know nearly enough about what people think about his actual temperament or anything, but people make a huge thing out of the fact that he's short, so there's this like...
I know, they think he was trying to compensate.
Mm.
No.
Just like every villain.
Every villain is just short and frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean like no villains can be tall?
I don't know. I guess the ones that I'm thinking of are mostly ones with origin stories, like in Batman or whatever, where they're like some slighted scientist or some like someone didn't believe in them enough and they're like, Rawr!
Yeah.
Like the Incredibles.
They were bullied.
Yeah.
Usually.
They were cyberbullied. And they become like megalomaniacal.
Is Napoleon a villain?
For the Russians, I imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's a Batman.
Is anyone
villain.
like, Napoleon, my hero? I admire him. I mean, he did accomplish a lot.
I don't think the Russians of the time.
He got it
I
done.
guess. You definitely got a lot done.
I guess I'm more speaking like in terms of like historians. Like,
oh, of course, people are thrilled by him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's less in a like, oh, wasn't he just like so great? And more in like, wow, that fucking happened.
Mm.
Okay.
That happened.
Which is how I feel about England in general.
What do you mean?
I was like, oh, that happened. It's like tiny ass country.
I know, when I think about that too.
They have it's this tiny little country, and what they didn't have in everything, they made up in impudence.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. They always say like, oh, it was their navy. Navy? Is it just about technology? Is that all it comes down to?
I don't think so.
That their ships were the best. Whoever
I
had
don't know.
the better weapons and the better ships. I don't know.
I have difficulty accepting that the only thing keeping everyone from conquering the rest of the world is technology. That's a hard pill for me to swallow.
That's our fault.
Yeah.
I'm
the
sure it's
assumption
not
is
the
just
only
like,
thing. Well, what else would it be? Would it be like character?
well, I've always thought that it was about food.
What do you mean?
I mean, I told you this like a week ago, but Dan reminded me that I used to go around saying that colonialism could be explained by shitty food that they had to suffer.
Yeah, I was just thinking
And how they
that.
were like doing all these like, military contortions where they just need some pepper and chili.
Sugar. That was the thing.
Just something, anything.
Just satisfying that craving.
Because their lives were so empty on account of their dinner.
Right. So they were just really unsatisfied and pissed off because
they were
of what was
hangry.
on their plate.
They were hangry.
They're like, there's got to be something better.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I personally feel like that's as good of an explanation as any.
Maybe. I wonder if England has colonial guilt.
Not enough.
They should.
Not enough. No, they don't. Are you kidding? They're the most.
No, let's not have this. Okay.
They don't like give anything back or anything. Like they refused to give the Kohinoor diamond back. It was like, no, it's in our queen's crown. You go to Windsor Castle and there are these like things full of like swords and all these like impressive bejeweled like unbelievable things, and it's all like gifted to Her Majesty from the Nizam of so and so. And I was like, really? This one was gifted too?
Gifted. Yeah.
And this one was gifted, and that one was gifted. And they were all gifted.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, there's a great diversity of opinion, but by and large, like, there's no mainstream accountability or any such thing. But it's just like how the first American president to apologize for slavery was what's his face? Clinton.
Really?
Yes.
The first
to like actually apologize? Yeah. Cool. And I mean, if you think about it, like colonial guilt, clearly not. Like, think of the Native American and First Nation. Like, think of all of these populations everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just surprised by that. When I went to Germany, I was impressed by their accountability. for what had happened.
I see.
Like they wouldn't let themselves. It was just like we're never going to forget what happened.
I haven't. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing that everyone.
Or at least everyone I talked to, there was kind of, and you could like still see it in the city itself too.
See what?
Like in Berlin. Berlin's like always under construction, and obviously there's like things because of like the Berlin Wall. That some of the history is like more recent than World War II. But everyone I talked to, it was like, yeah, like school children, like they hear what happened, and not like a cozied up version. It's like they know like Germany's part in that.
That seems like the bare minimum.
The bare minimum.
Yeah, because that's like non-revisionist history, is what that's called.
Basically,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? But that's not that.
But
impressive.
I don't. So okay, but even just
Other
taking
things,
that, I don't know what the discussions are like in history class in like England. I don't know if they're like, yeah, England took this place and this place and this place and this place.
I mean,
I don't know the context of that, or if they just focus on the kings. I don't think it's the same relationship as, say, like in Canada, we had to learn about all of the Native Americans. So, like, we learned what Algonquins. Did you learn this too?
I'm not from here.
No, but you wouldn't have learned this in high school.
What's the question?
Okay, like we had to learn like what Algonquins ate, and like what their spiritual practices were.
There's that,
and
but there's
what
something.
territories they had, and what their weapons were made out of, what their like teepees were made out of.
But did you know? Were you taught how many of them were exterminated and how and by whom?
I think there was less emphasis on that. There was like the battles, but it wasn't framed as like, and they were slaughtered. But yeah, there were like battles. It was very like mixed. It was very confusing of whose side we were on in that argument. Yeah.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Because it's not. This isn't. Like even in what happened in this country. This isn't a fair telling.
Right.
That's not a fair telling. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. That actually sounded like a book to me.
It sounded like a book?
Yeah.
A new book?
No, like this actually, I could understand what was going on.
Me too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was relieved.
Does it sound like the same book that we were reading before yesterday?
Slightly.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Night.